What do you practice when you don't actually know what you need to draw? I've been practicing my art for a long time, so I could one day make my own manga. But at some point, that practice became safe. Super safe. I was doing basic fundamentals, I was drawing what I was comfortable with, and I still felt completely directionless. So I decided to stop waiting until I'm ready and start creating my first manga one-shot, a 20-page manga. Not, I must become good before I can create. Instead, I will become good by creating. So, this video isn't really about mindset or motivation. It's about taking a concrete step forward. A one-shot is small enough to actually finish, but it still forces me to practice the real parts of making manga, which are story ideation, scripting, thumbnailing, pencils, inking, all of it, and probably a million other things that I'll discover along the way. And along the way, I'll run into things I don't know how to draw yet. Outfits, animals, creatures, environments, and architecture. That's kind of the point. I don't really know what I need to practice until the story demands it. I'm planning for this to be a medieval fantasy, so I already know I'll be dealing with stuff like armor, horses, swords, castles, and stuff like that. So, the first step is ideation. And since I don't want to completely spoil the whole story, the best place to start might be with the elevator pitch, which is a 1 or 2 sentence summary of the one shot. They call it the elevator pitch is because, you step into an elevator and maybe with an editor or someone and you're like, hey, I got this story. Do you want to hear about it? And you have probably like 30 seconds to a minute to get your story across. And this is probably going to change, but right now the elevator pitch is: when a knight and his young squire rescue a mysterious girl from demonic forces, a violent clash leaves the knight dead, and the squire is burdened with a secret powerful enough to reshape the world. I'm not spoiling anything here. It's very vague, but it gives you the basic idea of what the story is going to be about. I'm not being like, hey, this is who the main character is. This is who the secondary characters are. This is what happened specifically. It's a pitch. It's a little summary, It's just to get the idea of what the story is going to be about across. So, that's my pitch. What I'd like to go for is a more mature shonen style manga, but it's just my first one shot. So I'm not trying to make the next Berserk or something as grand as Lord of the Rings. My first goal should just be to finish. From there, I expanded that idea into a one-page summary, and then into a page-by-page script. All subject to change, of course, as I figure out what the heck I'm doing. I love brainstorming a good story, though. But I had to pump the brakes a bit. I had characters that needed to be drawn, and honestly, I really started procrastinating here. I'm okay at drawing faces, but with full figures, especially with clothing, it's still a weak spot for me. But it was kind of now or never. I needed character designs before I could even think about getting started on the thumbnailing. So I sat down and designed 2 main characters for this one shot. So the character I'm working on in the background, you might have noticed me drawing, is Valesi, the mysterious girl. There's not much to say about her in this one shot, as she doesn't have a ton of screen time and she doesn't play a huge role, but that role is much bigger in the plot. I don't really have a character bible for her yet, but I'm not sure I need one. Mostly because her role in this one shot is so small. If I was going to expand this into a series where she eventually becomes a bigger character, then yeah, obviously I would need one. So, but the overall idea for her is that she's naive, innocent, and a bit shy, with a kind of fish out of water story intro to her. One thing I wanted to bring up, though, before I talk about my second character is the names I've created for these characters are basically names of characters that I've used in every form of media or any game or any username that I've ever used. So Valesi is the name of a character that I would use anytime I had to play like a female character or something in an MMO or an RPG or something where I got to name a character. So that brings me to my second character, which I drew off screen while I was watching the Fallout Season 2. His name is Hyrus, which, same as my channel name. Same as every video game or username I've ever used over the years. I think since probably elementary school. I think I've been using this name for probably centuries. So, Hyrus is my shonen protagonist. He starts off a bit uncertain, big shoes to fill, but a good heart with lots of determination and courage. I should probably do a character Bible for him, but I feel like that's just adding too much to this whole project. So we're going to ignore that and just get the basics of the character down. And honestly, his drawing was a bit of a mess. I wasn't really paying attention to proportions, and I got cut off at the bottom of the page. Not to mention the unfinished arms. But I had this idea for these wrist wraps or bandage style sleeves, but was a bit unsure how to even draw them. Definitely a work in progress, I suppose. I'll finalize something before the actual penciling. I just wanted to mostly get the female character down and the main character down. I had a general idea of what these characters look like, how they might act, what their basic role in the story is going to be. I wanted to do a third character design for the knight, but I've never even attempted drawing armor before, and I think I'm going to use that as the big focus point for my practice for page 1. I think that'll be a good direction for that. Or maybe I'll just panic before I even start page 1 and throw something together last second so I have an outline. We shall see. So, I have my pitch, a summary of the one-shot's whole story, page-by-page script story beats, character designs for 2 of my main characters. I think what comes next would be thumbnails for all 20 pages of the one-shot. I'm not sure if I'm just overestimating the amount of work that will take, but we'll know when we try. And then after that, it will be a page-by-page process. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Next is thumbnails. I hope you'll join me.